It's time for the Creative Real Estate Podcast, your source for out-of-the-box real estate investing strategies, brought to you by realbluespruce.com.
Welcome back to the Creative Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Adam A. Adams, and today we're in for a treat because we got some rock stars in the house, well, actually, virtually. Scott and Heidi Huggins. Here's the thing. These guys are focused in the Tri-County area in Charleston, South Carolina. So they work in about a 30-mile radius. What's very, very interesting out there, they are working virtually. So they just picked up a large apartment complex in Louisville, Kentucky, well, just outside it. We're going to talk a little bit about their journey, but here is one of the cool things you're going to learn. When we talk about their most creative deal, we're actually going to talk about how the seller paid them $33,000. Yes, the seller paid the buyers $33,000 to take over the property. So we're going to learn a lot from them. With that said, Scott and Heidi, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right. So when there's two people on the show, we got to give a little bit of time for your journey. So first off, if Heidi, can you just tell me, how did you get from born to here in 60 seconds?
I was born in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. And when I was younger in second grade, I moved to Michigan. I spent most of my life in Michigan. When I got a little bit older, I spent a year in Hawaii and then came back to Michigan. And then I moved down to South Carolina, and I've been here for about 13 years now. So my journey is that I was a stay-home mom, and I ended up going through a divorce and with 5 kids. I started working at a bar to support my children. And then during that, I met Scott, and he was in real estate, and I started helping him with real estate. And we ended up getting married, a few years later, and we had another child. So we have just 6 children.
Just 6.
Just six boys. So I've been a real estate agent for 3 years now, over 3 years, but I'm active in, doing the short-term rental side now and kind of getting out of that agency era, and just having fun with, putting properties together and teaching other people how to, do their properties. And, we're starting a lot of new things and a lot of new avenues, towards short-term rental and doing multifamily, and we have a lot of avenues.
I absolutely am looking forward to getting into that part of the business, especially how you're doing some of these short-term rentals, Airbnbs, but you're actually taking over other people's properties. They still own the properties, but you manage it. It's incredible. We're going to get a lot of wisdom from both of you. Scott, will you tell us how you got from born to now in 60 seconds or less?
60 seconds. Okay. Well, I was born in a little town called Darlington, South Carolina, which is about 2 hours from Charleston. And ended up coming to Charleston to go to college. Went to college in Charleston and graduated with a degree in biology and chemistry. And during that time, I got interested in real estate. Didn't really know anything about it. Ordered one of those courses, late night courses, how to buy foreclosures. And me and 2 buddies went into business together and started door knocking, had no clue what we were doing. We eventually, after a year, we got our first property, and then that kind of, just escalated after that point. And then I ended up, went through one bad marriage and got divorced, and then ended up meeting Heidi, and she was interested in real estate, and I was like, well, this is great. So, and here we are. We've been doing real estate ever since, and and last year recently got into short-term rental business.
All right, so we might be starting backwards because the last property that you closed was a 28 unit just outside of Louisville, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Walk us through that deal a little bit, would you please?
Sure. We actually we have 2 other partners on that deal that we work with, and they brought us the deal, and we all looked at it, and decided the numbers looked good. It was a mom and pop property. It was brought to us. It was still off market. It hadn't been listed yet, but it was brought to us by a broker. So kind of, almost or in the gray area, I guess. So he gave us the opportunity to take a look at it first. We analyzed it, saw a lot of operational deficiencies that we could capitalize on. As far as the condition of the property, it was a great condition. So we went ahead and spent a week down there, walking the property, inspections, talking to property managers and getting everything lined up, and just closed on that back in November.
All right. So a lot of people want to really learn how you got this 28 unit. And so I think the two questions that are on our minds right now is, number one, well, where did you go? How did you meet these partners? Where did you meet them? And the second one is really, what is the role? Okay, so why are you partnering with them? Is somebody bringing money? Is somebody bringing experience? Is somebody bringing boots on the ground? So can you kind of just dive into those two questions, either of you? How did you meet these partners and what are the roles?
Sure. Do you want to talk about how we met them?
Yep, we met them through Dave Lindahl. We went through one of his courses, and we just kept, talking to him every time we would go to one of his meets, his courses, and we built a relationship with them.
So that's how you met them. What is their role in this property, and what's your role in this property?
Good question. So that's kind of one of the things we talked about right up front. Getting into an apartment building, as anybody that's going down that road yet, there's a lot of variables, a lot of things that have to be done. So it's you quickly learn that it's a lot for one person to do, so we kind of figured out, hey, we got one girl named Angela. She's really great at the numbers, and she's definitely a really good numbers person. So we're like, she runs with the numbers. And Andrew was actually our other partner, and he met the broker, and that brought us the deal. And because we have a lot of management experience, about 20 years of property management experience, they brought us in to kind of oversee the property manager and the running of the property.
Excellent. A lot of good info. Okay, so really want to dive into this Airbnb thing because, frankly, you're the first guest that I've had after about 200 episodes to really have the knowledge about Airbnb. So I'm very excited to dive into this and understand how these businesses work, how you've been making money, and definitely excited to talk about, like, sometimes you don't even have to own the real estate to make money off of an Airbnb. So could you guys speak to that a little bit on just, I guess, give us the baseline knowledge that we need from a high level view of what is Airbnb and how do you run these things?
Sure.
Airbnb is short-term rental, vacation rental. There's Airbnb Home Away. We also do corporate rental. We try to, touch on every, aspect of it. That way, we're getting all sides and we can, create income from all sides. Our first property was a home that we couldn't sell, traditionally for what we wanted. And so we just kind of threw it on there empty. And we got a lot of responses from a lot of people. And we said, well, we've got to do this. So we ended up filling it with furniture. And that was our first project. Our second two, we actually rented from other people. So we rented those homes, and then we've made quite a bit of money off of those too. And more than enough to pay, the rents and, make it work. A couple of the other ones that we have, we do a lot of creative financing. So we don't mortgage them. We just, we work with the people that are having financial difficulties, and we take over their homes, and, we do a lot of creative stuff. And we also have traditional rents, and then we have, release options, some too. So I love the Airbnb because I can create what I want in the home, and then I can, people have experiences and they love it, and they, want to come back, and that's where I get the joy of, adding value to other people's lives, is through experiences and creating that, like, on a weekly basis or on a daily basis. but also, helping other people on the other end if they're in financial difficulty. We love to, get them out of a bad situation too, and then relieve them from, having their financial heartaches or, whatever they're going through. And it benefits, everybody around. So it's
Awesome.
almost like the wheel of life, from one person to the next.
If you could just say, when you say you like to do a lot of creative financing, can you share with me just 3 examples of creative financing? And we might be able to dive deep into these 3, but what are like maybe a couple of examples of creative financing that you've utilized? I remember you said lease option. What were the others?
I do a lot of the acquisition side, and that's what a lot of my experience is in. So we typically, when we approach homeowners, we like to give them several options. Most people are typically aware of like an all cash purchase, scenario. Well, we like to give, most people don't like to just kind of be cornered into one thing. So we try to give them other options besides that. So one of the things we do is called mortgage takeover, or subject to. And a lot of people don't even realize you can really do that's even legal. Mortgage companies don't really like it per se that you do it, but it's, you can do it. And that helps alleviate, people from having, that are behind on their payments. It helps them avoid foreclosure, or, get out of the burden of having to do those payments. We'll kind of take it over and then, either resell it, or if it's a great Airbnb property, we'll, do it that way. Lease purchases, that's actually how I got started. Back the first property that I bought was a lease purchase. And like I said, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just kind of going by what, I learned from this guy. And so with that, you basically leasing the property from the people. And then you also give them a purchase agreement or an option to purchase it in the near future. The really neat thing about that is, you have control of the property and you have the right to purchase the property. You don't have to purchase it. So if the market turns or whatever, you're not obligated to purchase it down the road, but they are obligated to sell it to you. So one of the other things we do is called a profit split. That's kind of something new that we do. And we basically partner with the homeowner. And that works great when homeowners really think the price of their house is really inflated where it really is. We just say, hey, look, as long as we make, this certain amount of money, anything over that, we'll split with you. And, and all that's negotiable, of course.
Very, very smart. I like that. And something that I really like to bring out is that some folks that are doing what we do, real estate investing, and they may only have the one tool in their belt, and there's a lot of tools. Okay, so there's a hammer, there's a screwdriver, there's a power drill, there's all sorts of things out there, and some people, all they have is that hammer. It's like give me your house for half its value, or nothing, and maybe that tool just doesn't work. But you're coming to the table saying, let me alleviate your pain, take over the mortgage, or let me do a lease purchase, or let me do all cash, or you think it's worth that, so why don't we do this? If you're right, you're going to make tons of money, because all I need to make is the money if I'm right. And I guess you're not saying it like that, but that frankly, that's really what we're talking about. If you're right and it's worth as much as you think, you can have whatever's above here, or we'll split whatever's above here. And so you're coming in with all the different tools to make sure that you can solve a problem. So instead of what a lot of people are like, well, I can't do anything but cash only, you guys are saying, well, how can I fix their problem? How can I? So I love it. I really do. So you said, Heidi, earlier, when we were talking about the Airbnbs and HomeAway, and business rentals. I think I'm saying that wrong, but when we started to mention that, you said that maybe, I think it was the second and the third one, you didn't necessarily own the property, but you made a lot of money on them. And so could we dive into those two deals so we can, I want to really understand that a little bit better.
So what we did was we told them that what we were doing, and they agreed to rent to us. We just tell them all the benefits that we can do for them. And we give them a list of what we can do for them, and then we give them our list of what we expect from the renter. So the one that's renting to us. So we take care of like a lot of the repairs, and we'll do like up to like $300 worth of repairs, which it alleviates a lot of it off their plate. And we also will, we're cleaning their home every week. We're, making sure everything's up to par. We're not letting anything, slip between the cracks. And so the homeowners, they really like it, because then they don't, have to babysit their house, and we're, pretty efficient about taking care of things. And one of our, the ladies that we rent from, she is actually out of the country. So it really, makes her feel a lot better that her home is being taken care of. And so this is like the second year we're renting from both of them. So the first year went great, and then they're wanting to rent to us again, and they know exactly what we do, and they're okay with it, as long as you're transparent and you're not. But we also like have a portfolio that we kind of send to them too. We don't just go in and say, hey, can I rent your house? We have, something that we have with all of our credentials, and we present, professionalism, and that helps a lot too.
Yeah, like a credibility package.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so I have a few questions that I have queued up right now. Let's see. We are talking about, first off, you said that you have a list of things that you can do for them. So before getting into questions, I need to, bring that to light, because you're thinking the right way. There's other people that are all thinking about me, what can I do for me? And when you think like that, other people can read that. And when you're thinking about, this is what we can do for you as a service, we can make you a little bit more money. We're going to clean your house every week. We're going to make sure that things are there, whatever. I just think that that's very, very important to show that quote that you said. You have a list of what you can do for them. Second thing, okay, so a question. You talked about a lady that's out of the country who's signing up with you again, which just makes me ask this question. Who really is your ideal client? Who are you really serving?
Pretty much we have even gone to like apartment complex and presented our proposal, and one of them was even going to let us put our own lock on the door, and because when you present it in a certain way, then they are so happy to rent from you, because they know that they're not going to have any problems from you. So like I said, we present it as doing corporate rental, doing Airbnb, and doing friends and family. And we also present it as because we have like investors that come into the area that want to meet with us, and we have to house them somewhere. So and we've had people from our mastermind group and everything come down and stay with us, and that creates a sense of security, because they know that we are constantly scanning everybody that's going to be in the property, and we're very up to par with making sure that the people that we have staying with us are, not going to destroy or, ruin their property.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. I have two questions that are going to be for Scott, but before I ask those, you mentioned that sometimes you have people from your mastermind group meeting and staying in South Carolina. Tell me more about the mastermind group real fast before we get into those questions with Scott.
We have a group of individuals that love to thrive, and they're always doing great things, and we learn from them all the time. And we've been in it for 3 years now? 2 years?
Yeah.
They're called M1, March to $1 Million. And we just, they're just a great group of people that come in and they love South Carolina. And when they come here and, you know, are passing through, we love to host them and just kind of, you know, give them an awesome experience. And, you know, we love it. So,
Thanks for letting me kind of take us off track here for a moment. I appreciate it. Thank you. And okay, so Scott, you mentioned a credibility package. I've got two questions for you. The first one is just, what does the portfolio look like today?
Well, right now we've got two that we do rental arbitrage on, which is, you know, we lease from the landlords and then, you know, we get a rent spread. We've got 3 properties that we own and control using some of our creative techniques that we talked about. And then we're constantly trying different things. We've been renting entire homes. So we recently just branched out into renting some rooms out. So we're seeing how that's going. So we got 2 of those. And I'm actually in talks with an investor here in Charleston that is acquiring 1,000 units this year and partnering with them on actually partnering and doing some Airbnb in their apartment complexes as they acquire them. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so my second question is for the listener who has 1 or 2 rentals that they're using as Airbnb rentals. They've got these short-term rentals going, and they may have had it for the last 6 months or maybe even 2 years, like you guys have had a couple of years for 2 years or longer, right?
We've actually only been in it for about a year.
Yeah, a little over a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so.
Got it. Okay. Well, so a listener who has had it for 6 months, maybe a year like you, or even over a year, and they haven't yet thought to create the arbitrage like you have. How do they put their credibility package? Like, what kind of, walk us through what yours looks like or what theirs should look like so that they can start making money creatively by not even having to own the properties, if you could, Scott.
Sure. You know, we kind of put ourselves in the landlord's shoes, and us being landlords already, we kind of knew a lot of the hangups, and you probably heard them before, you know, with short-term rentals, and as we found, a lot of them aren't even true, really. They're just fears, you know. So we address those concerns with the landlord. So we have a corporate rental application that we use, and we use our business, and so we also have there's a service where you can get like a business credit score started. You have to apply for it, and so we have that on there. And we also put in we show them, you know, an addendum we're going to put on the lease that says, you know, look, we're going to take care of a certain amount of repairs for you, and you know that's always negotiable. All this stuff's negotiable, really. We also tell them, you know, look, we're going to have your home cleaned weekly on a weekly basis. And we also, you know, reassure them that we're going to be abiding by whatever, you know, parking codes and ordinances there are. You know, pretty much that's it. We try to address any concerns that they have, and, you know, and we put it in writing for them, you know.
Very smart. Very smart. Okay, so I've got one more question. And then we're going to get into the final 5. And the final 5 is going to be interesting, especially with you, because your most creative deal was a deal that somebody paid you $33,000 to take it over. So I'm really excited to get into that. So first, let me just ask you, what are your goals in 2019?
Yeah, I actually just finished those being the beginning of the year. So what I do with mine is I set them into 3 categories. I have personal, you know, business, and then health. You know, business-wise, you know, we want to close another 300 apartment units this year, and we're also we're kind of transitioning from the single family as we get more multifamily, but we still want to close another 12, you know, Airbnb or single family homes also, and then, you know, as far as my personal goals, you know, I've got some of those that are, you know, we're very religious, so we're very big into giving and, you know, giving to, you know, our community. So we got some goals set along those lines, and of course health. If you don't look after your health, nothing else is really going to matter. So you got to make sure that's number one too. So I always set some health goals too.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge you real fast before we move into the final five. Airbnb, going great for you. You have a goal to pick up 12 more of those. Multifamily is going great for you. You've studied it. You've paid a lot of money for the education for it. And you're going to get 300 units this year. Here's the challenge. Here's the question. Which one do you make more money in, and would it make more sense to drop one or the other and put all your efforts into either getting, let's just say, 24 Airbnbs this year or 600 doors of multifamily? Anyway, speak to that. Just let me know what your thoughts are. Would it be better for you to go all in on one of them?
That's a very good question, and that's something we always look at. We look at, where our income's coming from. Our real goal is to create as many streams of passive income as we can. We're constantly looking at the Airbnb market, seeing how that's going. And if it comes to where we're not making income, with that, we love to think outside the box and innovate. So and that's what we do the best, we figure things out. But, we're looking at combining Airbnb with the multifamily. We think there's a big short-term rental opportunity in multifamily. I've talked to some other investors about it, and they agree too. So that's another value add opportunity to us. We're ready to go. Whatever the market decides to do, we're ready to pick up and change and do what we need to do.
I love those three answers. Number one, you talked about, we want diversification. Number two, you talked about, it's best to have multiple streams of income. And the third one is, why not combine them? So three very great answers to a question that I thought you'd have trouble with. It's time for the final five. Scott and Heidi, what's the most creative deal you've ever done?
That was actually a single family deal we did this past year. So I had approached a guy actually a year earlier about buying his home, and the numbers indicated that he was going to need to bring about $33,000 to closing to make it happen. And, a lot of people won't even present that. They just drop it like a hot potato and move on. But I always present it, and because you never know, I've had several people do this. A year later, almost to the day, I followed up with him, and he said, "Yeah, I'm ready to go." I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't even remember at that point really what the deal was. He said, I got the 33 grand, and I was like, "Great, let's get the paperwork signed." Met him next day, got it signed, and we ended up making another 35 grand on it after we sold it.
Crazy. Now, here's what I want to bring out to the listener. A couple of things. Number one, just ask. Just ask. Most people, they don't want to offend somebody, but you went further than the average person because you asked. Number two, this was a year of cultivation, okay? It happened a year ago. So we're not always talking about this business being, all right, you want to do fix and flips, you want to do creative real estate, you want to do wholesales. You do something now and nothing happens in a week because you talk to 100 people. It doesn't mean they won't call you a year from now. Okay. The next one is the follow-up, because what I thought I heard you mention is that you reached back out to him 1 year later. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. I had been reaching out to him throughout the year, but it was actually that a year later, almost to the date.
All right. So the fortune is in the follow-up, my friends. Heidi, are there any other details to this $33,000, the seller paid you guys to take it over for him, that we missed?
Well, I mean, he didn't mention that he saved up actually $40,000 for us, and we said good news that it was only or $38,000. It was only going to be $33,000. So I remember when he first talked to him, and we had no idea that he was going to actually save up that whole entire year. But you don't know what somebody's going to do when they're desperate to get rid of their house. And sometimes their home is just a big burden for them, and if it's gone, they're happy to get rid of it and then they can move on. I think this particular guy wanted to move out of the state, or he was already out of the state and he just wanted to move on with his life. So yeah, you just never know. So always ask. It's not the first deal. I mean, most of our deals we've gotten, we've had cash brought to the table. So
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so question number 2 of the final 5. What is a book that you recommend?
Well, I just reread The Go-Giver again. That's always a good book. And I'm actually right now I'm reading Joe Fearless's first book he put out, and plan on reading his next one that he just put out, released too. So.
Awesome. Heidi, is there a book that you recommend?
I love Stephen Covey, everything that Stephen Covey writes, and the Bible. I mean, that's my go-to for, my strength and my wisdom and, everything that I do in life. So.
All right. So I appreciate all those 4 books. Thank you so much. Okay. So 5 years ago, I want to really paint that picture and explain where you were, because you have all the success today. You've been doing these Airbnbs for a year. You just closed on multifamily with 20 something units. Where were you 5 years ago?
You talking to me or Scott?
I guess as a couple. What were you guys doing as a couple? I know you
probably have different perspectives on that.
8 to 10 years. So, okay. Yeah. Well, either one of you.
Well, 5 years ago, I was a pretty broken person and, trying to get out of the bar industry. I met Scott. I was an exotic dancer, and I don't know if you knew that, but yeah. So I did that for about 6 years, trying to, support my boys. And so when I met Scott, I did that for a while when we were together. And then I finally said, that's enough. And I need to do something else. And, just walking away from that brokenness, I was able to, get into the Mastermind group and get people that were supporting me. And then my family was supporting me, after walking away from that kind of life. But, and just, building my confidence. And I don't know, here I am now. And it's been a long journey, but it's been well worth it. And I'm very, very thankful for the journey, because I really appreciate where I am now. So
really, really great stuff. Thank you for going into that. Really appreciate it. If you see yourself today and you're doing all these things and you're inspiring a lot of people and you're making good money and you have that mastermind, you have that group of people, and you know that you've come a long way in the last 5 years, what do you see yourself? I guess I say see yourself because I'm used to, I guess, interviewing one person. Where do you see yourselves 5 years from now? What are you going to be doing? What are you going to own in 5 years from today?
5 years, yeah. We would like to we'd like to be in a position where we could give away $1 million for one.
Yes.
That would be that's a huge goal of ours. We definitely want to have probably several thousand more units added to our portfolio. We're not going to stop. There's no such thing as retirement, not when you love what you do. So short-term rental business, who knows? It may keep exploding and may retract some, but we like the vacation rental business. It's a great way to help people and just it's great satisfaction you get from doing this business. My
favorite part of the answer, a lot of people, they're so success driven. They're just so success driven. And frankly, I'm one of them. I'll just be honest. And
well, we are too.
Yeah. yeah. And you are, and you mentioned that you want to own several thousand units and you want to be involved in the vacation rentals. And you talked about that, but I think it's really important to mention that the first thing you said is we would like to give away $1 million. So that's just it's just how you think, I think makes a big play on where you're going to go. And just knowing that you started off the answer to that question with, we'd like to give away $1 million says a lot about you. So that kind of ties in. And I know that you like to give within your church as well. But how do you give back? What do you do to inspire others and help others to get to where you are? How do you guys give back?
I think just by helping other people get on the right foot with their entrepreneurial journey. We're helping another guy and a gal right now buy a house in Charleston to start their Airbnb. And just, people that come to us, we just, we're always giving information about how we got started and adding value. Anywhere we can, we try to add value to other people's lives, whether, it's, just smile or giving away something, unique or just something. I have these little a wooden postcards that says, different things like, about smiling or something, just adding value and just, I give them away when I'm on vacations or something like that. And they have a piece of, something to remember, that somebody was kind to them or nice to them. I don't know, just everything that we can to give value is, that's what our purpose is. I think in life is, not just to be successful and not to, which is great. And I love, being successful, but just being something to somebody else.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. Sorry. Did I cut you off?
No, that's okay.
I apologize.
Right.
I love it. Thank you so much. And I'm glad you were on the show, both of you. Thank you so much. And thanks for sharing all of your journey for the last 5-10 years and what you've been able to do over the last year. It's impressive and it's inspiring. And if a listener wants to reach out to you, they can go to Huggins Asset Management.com. Is that right? HugginsAssetManagement.com. Or
gmail.com.
That's the email, at gmail.com. Thank you. And or if they want to talk about Airbnb. So if you're curious, you want to learn more about Airbnb, these guys just said that the way they give back is teaching other people the knowledge of how to do the Airbnb. They just want to add value. So if that's what you want to know, go to email HugginsAssetManagement@gmail.com. Or if you want to learn how to be a passive investor with what they're doing, or just talk to them about some of these multifamily things, you go to info@theapartmentinvestors.com. I don't know how you got that website. It's amazing. Theapartmentinvestors.com. Or you can actually, if you're on if you're on Facebook, you can just type in @Airb the Diva. I'll just put that in the show notes in case it's hard to spell out, but AIRBTHEDIVA, and that's how you can find them on social media as well. Again, thank you both for coming on the show. Any parting advice you want to leave with us before we hang up?
No, we just want to thank you so much for having us on here. We're excited.
Very grateful to have you. Grateful to share your story with others. It'll be very inspirational to other people growing, and especially all the knowledge that we're talking about for the Airbnb stuff is something, frankly, we haven't really done in the last 200 episodes. So really, really appreciate you bringing that knowledge to us today. So until next time, my friends, think outside the box.